Hello and welcome to Nathan Reads the Bible. I am your host, Nathan, and I'm here to read the Bible to you today. And I just got done doing my very shortened, even though that was very long, testimonial. It's a 3-part series that I just put up overnight. Boy, oh boy, it was tough to try and just hit the important points without going into all the little details. And there's some stuff that I missed. One important point: my biological mother and her husband are now part of my life. So I ended up meeting my biological mother in my 30s, and it's been great. It's been great getting to know her and her husband. I love them both. They are very strong Christians. Probably some of the strongest Christians. They're the kind of people that I talk about earlier in the podcast, where God is so, and it's like this with my parents too, but my biological parents, they're like those kind of people where there's just God has flooded them, and He is working through them on what I feel like is almost a constant level in one way or another. They are always finding ways to do for God, even if it doesn't seem possible. It's amazing to me. The other things that I didn't mention, I kind of kept going back and forth about my drinking and my drug use and when I actually completely stopped using drugs, and when really there were only short periods of time when there was no drug use in my life. Now, the drug use that was happening was more on a recreational level than on other levels. I have never been addicted to cocaine. Probably was addicted to marijuana. I know that marijuana people don't like to hear somebody claim to be addicted to it, but it's something that I used to partake of from morning to night, and I didn't have any medical reasoning for it, and I didn't have any legit, besides I was trying to change my mental state. Things are very different if you have medical necessity that requires medical marijuana. It's a totally different situation, and I can only say I know that from experience. But what I do have to say is drinking was my main problem. And I never got to the way, so I'll just, I'm going to finish this off with my drinking story. Because my jailhouse realization and coming back into God's graces, and stopping my running was not the end of my drinking, sadly. I still had to go through some pretty hard experiences with the bottle and with getting detoxed. And my final detox, I was intubated. This is what finally severed my ties with alcohol. I was taken to the Mayo Clinic. Actually, I took myself to the Mayo Clinic, which I should have never done. I was in no shape in a million years to drive myself there. But I got in there, and they could not handle me the way I was. I may have been having seizures. I'm not really sure what was going on, but it was bad, so they intubated me. They intubated me for about, I think, 3 days. I don't remember any of this. I remember waking up after the intubation, and I still had stuff down my throat, and I could not talk. And I was so scared because I wasn't fully aware of what I was in the hospital for. I was still under the influence of drugs. I was waking up in a strange room where there were other people that were, in there. It was one of the spookiest feelings, and I kept trying to talk, and no words could come out of my mouth. And I was so thirsty. Oh, God, I remember that first drink of water after somebody finally noticed that I was awake and came in and pulled me out of there. Oh, I just wanted to drink everything under the sun. But that was what it took. That was how far I had to go. I basically kicked the bucket during my intubation. They had to bring me back to life at one point because there was a mixture of drugs and whatever else was in my system that had caused me to stop being around for a brief period of time. But the point is, my drinking became a full-on physical addiction that completely controlled my every decision. It was all based around alcohol. I could not function without alcohol when I started drinking. The second I got that stuff into my body, I needed more. I needed more, and I needed more, and I needed more. I got this guy tattooed on my arm down here. If you can see that, I'm not really sure what's coming through on the... If you can see that right there, that is the feeling inside of me that in an artist's description of how I feel when I am on an alcohol bender. It's just, there's this monster that is insatiable. And what I firmly believe is it is a demon that firmly wants to take me away from my family. It wants to hurt my parents. It wants to hurt anybody that loves me. And it wants to kill me. And I'm not going to let it. I've been sober for over 24 months now. It was 24 months, July 23rd. So that's that with alcohol. It was no joke. It was no joke to get me off that juice. My heart was in the right place. I wanted to follow God. I wanted to do the right thing. But my body was so physically addicted that I would slip up and I would go on these binges. I wasn't a daily drinker anymore after that, but I would slip up and go on, a 2 to 3 week binge and then end up in a hospital and have to detox from it. So that was kind of the way my last few years of drinking went. But God won that battle. As down and out as I thought that I was against that substance, God won that battle. God gave me the strength to win that battle. I don't fiend for alcohol now. I don't think about it very often. I see it when I go through stores. I don't have this crazy strong to go buy it, and I think that's a peace that God gives me. I firmly do. It's a peace from being right with everything. So that's just a little tidbit on the end of my alcohol situation in my testimony. And I don't believe God fully was able to use me. And like, it took me almost 2 years before I even started doing stuff like this, because I wanted to be fully sure that I had things as much on lockdown as a former addict can have. Well, I guess they don't really consider you a former addict. You're always an addict, I guess. Always an alcoholic. I personally don't like beating myself over the head with that word all the time, every day. I do go to meetings. They're anonymous. It's good. It's good camaraderie. It's just good. It's a good place to be every now and again. So that's that. I think that's enough of me talking about all those things. Again, if you are interested in continuing to watch these videos and you want a heads up on when I drop new content, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. Both of those buttons are extremely helpful for the analytics that go on. I'm doing the thing. Where's the YouTube people? I don't know. But the YouTube people that live in the sky, they do all this number crunching and jumbly stuff, and subscribes and likes really seems to make those YouTube people happy. And so please help me make my overlord happy and help this channel grow. By subscribing and or liking content that you like. If you do not like the content, go right ahead and hit the do not like button. I need to improve. I need to get better. So if there's room for it, let me know. And my inbox will probably be flooded tomorrow with, well, since you put it there, you need to change everything. No, I'm just... Okay, so where we left off the last time I read was Exodus 15, and that's where we are going to start up this reading. I'm going to read from 15 to 20 chapters in Exodus. That was totally backwards, but here we go. The Song of Moses and Miriam, chapter 15, Exodus chapter 15. Then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord. I will sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has hurled into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will praise him. My father's God, and I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. Pharaoh's chariots and my army he has hurled into the sea. The best of Pharaoh's officers are drowned in the Red Sea. The deep waters have covered them. They sank to the depths like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, was majestic in power. Your right hand, O Lord, shattered the enemy. In the greatness of your majesty, you threw down those who opposed you. You unleashed your burning anger. It consumed them like stubble. I think that's talking about like little bushes. But maybe people were burning their hair on their face. I don't know. But I think that's like little bushes, stubble. Anyways, by the blast of your nostrils, the water piled up. The surging waters stood firm like a wall. The deep waters congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy boasted, I will pursue, I will overtake them, I will divide the spoils, I will gorge myself on them, I will draw my sword and my hand will destroy them. But you blew with your breath and the sea covered them. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who among the gods is like you, O Lord? Who is like you? majestic in holiness, awesome in glory, working wonders. You stretched out your right hand, and the earth swallowed them. In your unfailing love, you will lead your people you have redeemed in your strength. You will guide them to your holy dwelling. The nations will hear and tremble. Anguish will grip the people of Philistia. The chiefs of Edom will be terrified. The leaders of Moab will be seized with trembling. The people of Canaan will melt away. Terror and dread will fall upon them by the power of your arm. They will be as still as a stone until your people pass by, O Lord, until the people you bought pass by. You will bring them in and plant them on the mountain of your inheritance, the place, O Lord, you made for your dwelling. The sanctuary, O Lord, your hands established. The Lord will reign forever and ever. When Pharaoh's horses, chariots, and horsemen went into the sea, the Lord brought the waters of the sea back over them. But the Israelites walked through the sea on dry ground. Then Miriam, the prophetess, Aaron's sister, took a tambourine in her hand, and all the women followed her with tambourines and dancing. Miriam sang to them, "Sing to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and its rider he has hurled into the sea." Interesting. So they started like a tambourine circle, man. They were dancing and singing and talking about putting the horse and the riders hurled into the sea. Can almost visualize it. All right, now we're at verse 22 of Exodus 15, the waters of Marah and Elim. Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the desert of Shur. For 3 days they traveled in the desert without finding water. When they came to Marah, they could not drink its water because it was bitter. So that is why the place is called Marah. So the people grumbled against Moses, saying, "What are we to drink?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a piece of wood. He threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. There the Lord made a decree and a law for them, and there he tested them. He said, "If you listen carefully to the voice of the Lord, your God, and do what is right in his eyes, if you pay attention to his commands and keep all his decrees, I will not bring on you any of the diseases I brought on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord who heals you." Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs and 70 palm trees, and they camped there near the water. Manna and quail. The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died in the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you have brought us out into the desert to starve this entire assembly to death." Then the Lord said to Moses, "I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. In this way I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions. On the 6th day they are to prepare what they bring in, and that is to be twice as much as they gather on the other days." So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, "In the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. And in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us?" Moses also said, "You will know that it was the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we? You are not grumbling against us, but against the Lord." Then Moses told Aaron, "Say to the entire Israelite community, 'Come before the Lord, for he has heard your grumbling.'" While Aaron was speaking to the whole Israelite community, they looked toward the desert, and there was the glory of the Lord appearing in the cloud. The Lord said to Moses, "I have heard the grumbling of the Israelites. Tell them, at twilight you will eat meat, and in the morning you will be filled with bread. Then you will know that I am the Lord your God." That evening quail came and covered the camp, and in the morning there was a layer of dew around the camp. When the dew was gone, thin flakes like frost on the ground appeared on the desert floor. When the Israelites saw, they said to each other, "What is it?" For they did not know what it was. Moses said to them, "It is the bread the Lord has given you to eat. This is what the Lord has commanded. Each one is to gather as much as he needs. Take an omer for each person you have in your tent." The Israelites did as they were told. Some gathered much, some gathered little. And when they measured it by the omer, he who gathered much did not have too much, and he who gathered little did not have too little. Each one gathered as much as he needed. Then Moses said to them, "No one is to keep any of it until morning." However, some of them paid no attention to Moses. They kept part of it until morning. But it was full of maggots and began to smell, so Moses was angry with them. Each morning everyone gathered as much as he needed, and when the sun grew hot, it melted away. On the 6th day they gathered twice as much, 2 omers for each person. As the leaders of the community came and reported this to Moses, he said to them, "This is what the Lord commanded. Tomorrow is to be a day of rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. So bake what you want to bake and boil what you want to boil, save whatever is left and keep it until morning." So they saved it until morning as Moses commanded, and it did not stink or get maggots. "Eat it today," Moses said, "because today is a Sabbath to the Lord. You will not find it on the ground today. 6 days you are to gather it, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, there will not be any." Nevertheless, some of the people went out on the 7th day to gather it, but they found none. Then the Lord said to Moses, "How long will you refuse to keep my commands and my instructions? Bear in mind that the Lord has given you the Sabbath. That is why on the 6th day he gives you bread for 2 days. Everyone is to stay where he is on the 7th day. No one is to go out." So the people rested on the 7th day. The people of Israel called the bread manna. It was white like coriander seed and tasted like wafers made with honey. Moses said, This is what the Lord has commanded. Take an omer of manna and keep it for the generations to come, so they can see the bread I gave you to eat in the desert when I brought you out of Egypt." So Moses said to Aaron, "Take a jar and put an omer of manna in it. Then place it before the Lord to be kept for the generations to come." As the Lord commanded, Moses and Aaron put the manna in front of the testimony that it might be kept. The Israelites ate manna 40 years until they came to a land that was settled. They ate manna until they reached the border of Canaan. As omer is 1/10 of an ephah. An omer is 1/10 of an ephah. Well, I wish I knew what an ephah is. Okay. Chapter 17. Exodus chapter 17. Water from the rock. The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin. Traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded, they camped at Rephidim. But there was no water for the people to drink, so they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." The Lord answered Moses, "Walk on ahead of the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled, and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" The Amalekites defeated. All right. This sounds like it might be interesting. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill with the staff of God in my hands." So Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning, but whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held his hands up, one on one side and one on the other, so that his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekite army with the sword. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this on a scroll as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven." Moses built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my banner," he said, for hands were lifted up to the throne of the Lord. The Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation. Interesting. So the Amalekites are a not liked people. That's what it seems. Jethro visits Moses. Now Jethro, the priest of Midian and father-in-law of Moses, heard of everything God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. After Moses had sent away his wife Zipporah, his father-in-law Jethro received her and her 2 sons. One son was named Gershom, for Moses said, "I have become an alien in a foreign land," and the other was named Eleazar, for he said, "My father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh." Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' son and wife, came to him in the desert, where he was camped near the mountain of God. Jethro had sent word to him, "I, your father-in-law Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and her 2 sons." So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They greeted each other and then went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law about everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and about all the hardships they had met along the way, and how the Lord had saved them. Jethro was delighted to hear about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel in rescuing them from the hand of the Egyptians. He said, "Praise be to the Lord, who received you from the hand of the Egyptians, and of Pharaoh, and who rescued the people from the land of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord is greater than all other gods, for he did this to those who had treated Israel arrogantly." Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law, in the presence of God. The next day Moses took his seat to serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all Moses was doing for the people, he said, "What is this you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as judge, while all these people stand around you from morning till evening?" Moses answered him, "Because the people come to me to seek God's will. Whenever they have a dispute, it is brought to me, and I decide between the parties and inform them of God's decrees and laws." My father-in-law replied, "What you are doing is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Listen now to me, and I will give you some advice, and may God be with you. You must be the people's representative before God and bring their disputes to Him. Teach them the decrees and laws and show them the way to live, and the duties they are to perform. But select capable men from all the people, men who fear God, trustworthy men, who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case to you. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load lighter, because they will share it with you. If you do this, and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain, and all these people will go home satisfied." Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chose capable men from all Israel and made them leaders of the people, officials that were over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They served as judges for the people at all times. The difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law on his way, and Jethro returned to his own country. At Mount Sinai. In the 3rd month after the Israelites left Egypt, on the very day they came to the desert of Sinai. After they set out from Rephidim, they entered the desert of Sinai, and Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain. Okay, hold on. After they set out from Rephidim, they entered the desert in the 3rd month after the Israelites left Egypt. On the very day they came to the desert of Sinai. After they set out of Rephidim, they entered the desert of Sinai, and Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain. Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, "This is what you are to say to the house of Jacob, and what you are to tell the people of Israel. You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. Now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be treasured possessions. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites." So Moses went back and summoned the elders of the people and set before them all the words the Lord had commanded him to speak. The people all responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has said." So Moses brought their answers back to the Lord. The Lord said to Moses, "I am going to come to you in a dense cloud, so that the people will hear me speaking with you and will always put their trust in you." Then Moses told the Lord what the people had said. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Have them wash their clothes and be nearby by the 3rd day, because on that day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. Put limits for the people around the mountain and tell them, 'Be careful that you do not go up the mountain or touch the foot of it. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. He shall surely be stoned or shot with arrows. Not a hand is to be laid on him. Whether man or animal, he shall not be permitted to live. Only the ram's horn sounds. A long blast may they go up on them after the ram. Only when the ram's horn sounds a long blast may they go up on to the mountain." After Moses had gone down the mountain to the people. He consecrated them, and they washed their clothes. Then he said to the people, "Prepare yourselves for the third day. Abstain from sexual relations." On the morning of the third day there was thunder and lightning, with a thick cloud over the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. Then Moses led the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke, because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace. The whole mountain trembled violently, and the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder. Then Moses spoke, and the voice of the Lord answered him. The Lord descended on the top of Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain. So Moses went up, and the Lord said to him, "Go down and warn the people so they do not force their way through to see the Lord, and many of them perish. Even the priests who approach the Lord must consecrate themselves, or the Lord will break out against them." Moses said to the Lord, "The people cannot come up Mount Sinai, because you yourself warned us, put limits around the mountain and set it apart as holy." The Lord replied, "Go down and bring Aaron up with you, but the priests and the people must not force their way through to come up to the Lord, or he will break out against them." So Moses went down to the people and told them. And it looks like we are coming up on the 10 Commandments. That's going to be my next reading, chapter 20 through 25. We'll actually be reading 20 to 24. Stopping at 25. Sorry, I'm yawning. But that was some more of Exodus. And I think that was a pretty good reading. I think it was interesting how the Amalekites showed up in there. Oh, shoot. The stuff I was going to research. Don't have my iPad here. I'm going to put up a short about the research that I did on the destroyer. The destroyer who was sent to take out the firstborn and the firstborn cattle was the last plague, the plague of the firstborn, because in the Bible it says that God sent the destroyer, and I wondered, what is the destroyer? Well, I have done some research and I have found out, and believe it or not, there is more than one time when God sends something of this nature to do his bidding. And so I call them God's assassins. And in the short that I make with my research, you will hear the other verses where stuff like this happens and what they are called by God. And so it's really interesting, and I'm glad I remembered it, but stay tuned for that. I'll make it probably tomorrow. And beyond that, I'm going to say a prayer, and I'm going to get this over with because I'm hitting my mark. All right. Dear Lord, thank you. Thank you so much for everything in my life, Lord. Thank you so much for giving me breath every morning. Thank you so much for all that you have done for all of us, Lord. Thank you, Lord Jesus, for giving your Son as a sacrifice for our sins, Lord. Lord, I cannot thank you enough for giving us a way to come into your fold. There is no human way to give the thanks that are deserved for that, Lord. And I just want to take this time to thank you for that. And Lord, I want to pray a blessing upon everyone watching and everyone not watching. I pray that you'll bless them in any way that they may need, Lord. Lord, let it be known. Let people see your work in this world. Let people see the good that you inspire in this world, Lord. Let it speak for you, Lord. And let people like me and others that are doing things like I'm doing spread the truth about your gospel and spread sound gospel. And Lord, I pray that it will help bring more and more people into the fold, Lord, that understand you, or not understand you, but understand the gifts that you have given us of eternal life. Thank you once again, Lord, for all of this. And Lord, as I end this prayer, I'm going to ask you once again for peace. I know things seem like in one corner of the world, peace may be coming, but there are many other places where there is not peace, Lord. There are many places where, I'm just going to speak it right now, the Ukraine, Lord. The eastern side of the Ukraine and the Ukraine proper is not in peace right now. They are under attack and they are fighting for their lives, Lord. And to be honest, the Russian soldiers that are being conscripted into this fight are fighting for their lives as well, Lord. They've been taken from their homes to fight a fight that probably neither side wants to fight anymore, Lord. I just pray, like I asked the other night, that you will let these people see the humanity in each other, Lord. Let the leaders of these nations see the humanity in the others, Lord. Soften their hearts, I ask, O Lord. Please, God. Please, God. I know it's our sinful nature and it's the fact that we have free will that these things are allowed to transpire on this earth. But boy, do they hurt us. And I pray all this in your name, Lord Jesus. Amen. And that's everything for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Remember to hit the subscribe and then maybe hit the like if you don't like and you don't subscribe. I'm going to keep reading because it is doing something inside of me, honestly. And I hope if you're listening, it is helping you in your walk with the Lord as well. But thanks for tuning in. Have a great night. Be blessed. Stay safe. And be a little bit dangerous for Christ if you need to be or when you need to be. And be a little dangerous for yourself if you have to be. You never know out there. Anyways, good night.